Peace, 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 peace. What it is, what it was, and what it do. This is Pastor Ben with another episode of Live from the Resource Center. We're in here this Saturday morning. And for those who are up, good morning. Thank you for coming in. And I hope you enjoy the ride. So, anyway, as the alerts are going out and everybody's coming in, just want to kind of just send some shout outs to begin this morning. And first, I want to shout out Dr. Will Boone and the Black Belt Soap Company for a great event last night. We had the opportunity to attend the first Friday syncretism event at Black Belt Soap Company in Greensboro, North Carolina. A great event with the artwork on display from various artists throughout the state of North Carolina. Once again, we had Black Belt Soap Company hosting, so they had their products, on display with their oils, their lotions, their body butters, everything. They're even selling sea moss and stuff now. I got my beard oil because myself and my lovely queen, we are regulars at Black Belt Soap Company. So shout out to them. I want to say shout out to Dr. Will Boone, who got on the Wheels of Steels, and DJ SOS, who kept the atmosphere live and entertaining with good music. So it was just a great event, well attended. The city of Greensboro came out to support, and it was great just having an opportunity to meet some of the artists and just discuss, with them their journeys and some of the, I guess, motivation behind their artwork. You could catch a couple of those interviews on the Resource Center TV page when we went live several times from there last night. But also this evening, I'll probably jump on with Brother Will McKee just to kind of do a recap on everything. So I'm not going to give away everything right now, but it was a wonderful time, and it was just an example of what we have to do as far as all these entities collaborating and coming together at these events and just continuing to build, just that relationship, that collectiveness, so that we could do more things in the future. Just to do what the intro says, to edify, uplift, and empower one another. And that intro clip, those three words, keep it simple, because that is what the Resource Center is about, the Resource Center Bookstore. And this community, we have to look at it as community. And if those principles don't resonate with you, hey, maybe this is not the neighborhood or the community to be with, but it's still love. And I still love you all regardless. But our focus is to edify, which is to inform, teach, instruct, right? For the hopes of improvement, morally and intellectually, right? And then that leads to an upliftment, right? A rising, an upliftment, a growth, right? Which eventually leads to empowerment, right? And as we say, the ultimate resource is you. All right. We all possess that something we can thrive in, or that vision, or that gift. But sometimes it can get stagnant, or we have life going on, or so many things going on. It's hard to dig into it or touch that potential, or we may not know where to begin, or who to connect with, or how to get started, or just find that strength, right, to just take that leap of faith. But that's why we're here, right? And And our purpose is just to inspire so that you, as nephew Jake likes to say, chase those dreams, chase those dreams. Um, but that's what we're here to do, and that's why we're a resource, and also just to lift up all those individuals, groups, organizations that are doing wonderful things for the community and for people, uh, further making our community a better, safer space, right? We want to emphasize that, right? So that's a shout out. I want to give another shout out because this morning, in a few minutes, and maybe a little less than 10 minutes, we'll have uh, my brother D. McDonald, who will be checking in. Many of you may know him from our podcast. Names are not important with Mac and Free. But he's doing some great things in the Durham, North Carolina area through his nonprofit organization, I Am Dope, and the Bull City Bruins basketball club. So we're just gonna have him come in because this time is very busy for him with coaching and growing these young gents that play in his program. And now he's also added a girls basketball team, so that's awesome. So we'll get into all that, but just he's doing some great things, and this is what we call travel ball season. So he's busy, but he's gonna stop in and check in with us this morning before he heads off to a tournament. It's funny, we had nephew Jaco last week, and he was in the midst of running his tournaments. So it is that time, and I used to be on that ground zero level with them, coaching all these travel teams and stuff from basketball to even U-Trip baseball, so youth football. So I understand, and I'm with you in your grind. But shout out to him, and he'll be on in a few minutes, and we'll get a few minutes with him. Another shout out to Dr. Naisha Douglas, and I'll explain that a little bit later, but got to connect with her. But she is an educator and author. And when we get to the "What are you reading?" Segment toward the end of the show, I'll explain that a little more. But shout out, she was able to come out to the event last night. And let me do this: a shout out to my queen, who made it out, and just to share. My wife is in the process of trying to become a trainer with a group. You may not be familiar with it, but the Cycle Bar, which is a cycling studio where they have the music and the cycling to the music and everything. And she's working on that because she loves it. She finds her peace in that. So shout out to her because she was doing some stuff to work towards that, but she still made it out to hang with her king. So shout out to her. But that being said, before we bring Brother Mac in to have a little discussion, I do want to touch on something, and I'm gonna put several hats on for this. Um, well, before we do that, also let me say that you saw me flash it up, but please like, share, subscribe, comment, and get the word out of what we're doing. Also, and you'll see everything running. If you want to donate to the show, right? You can donate to on Venmo at Clergy for Cures or Cash App at Cures TV LFRC. Getting everything set up, but I'll leave that running. If you want to make donations to the show, just make sure in the message you put Resource Center TV, and we'll surely be thankful for that, because eventually we want to grow this platform to where we can do more things and offer more items like gear and merchandise to further support the show and the things we're doing and continuing to expand out. and get the message. So first and foremost, like, share, subscribe. But secondly, if you would like to donate, it's there on the screen. And also just remember, um, every Saturday morning we do a new live show, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. roughly. We may go over, if everything's going good, but every Saturday morning. And then Wednesdays, we'll do the Wednesday Wisdom, um, where we check in and we highlight something and maybe share a thought or maybe some commentary on something that's going on in the world. So I'm going to leave that running and then I'm going to get to this right here. So in the news, we've been seeing a lot lately with the situation in Burkina Faso. And with this, I feel the spirit of Thomas Sankara taking over in this. But we know that Burkina Faso and more recently in the past year or so, we've seen Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger form the Sahel Coalition, where they're trying to make a more autonomous nation, self-dependent nation. And Burkina Faso in particular, with leader Ibrahim Traore, right, has been trying to move France out, who was in control of the area for many years, right? And then recently there's been several attempts on his life, and there was a recent coup attempt at his life. And, now I'm not going to be ultra political or tell you right and wrong. I'm just here to provide some information. But, we have to go back in history with this, right? We have to go back to 1884, right? The Berlin Conference, right? Led by von Bismarck of Germany with the Bismarck, go Bismarck. I'm sorry, a little Bismarcky flashback. But we know we call that the scramble of Africa, right? And that new imperialism movement, right? Where Africa was divided up. There was about 14 countries, but really about 7 nations kind of took control or colonialized many parts of Africa, right? And then this colonialism, right, it became more advantageous to these Western nations, Great Britain, Belgium, United States, so forth and so on. Then you started to see, the 60s, many nations gaining their independence, right? And there were several nations that weren't, Ethiopia, Liberia, we could say Libya for a while. They were mainly monarchies or groups, right? But we've seen this, right? And here's the travesty, right? And some people may not see this, and we know that sometimes the media can portray things without portraying the history of it, all right, or the full context. But we look at these places, these countries, these nations, right, where people have been in these lands for millenniums. They've been in these places for millenniums, but yet they have to fight for their independence and freedom from nations who are not indigenous to those lands or are not from those lands. And we look at the history of that just around the world, and not sidetrack, but I will. Let me put my teacher hat on. When I taught history, we taught MAIN, the acronym MAIN, right? Which M is militarism, A is alliances. I is imperialism, and nationalism, right? Want to focus on that A and that I, right? Um, with that Berlin conference, right? We see a lot of the alliances forming, right? And the nature of an alliance is to have a mutual agreement where all parties align, right? Benefit, right? It's a mutual agreement and benefit, right? But because that those alliances are often uh, in relationship with imperialism, right? We see where a history of where nations are taken advantage of or suppress or not able to uh, benefit from the resources of their own nations through this imperialism that takes place. Um, and this began, in on the continent of Africa with the Berlin Conference, right? And now these nations, even though they gained freedom, right? These people that's been in these lands for millenniums, right? Though they gained their freedom, oftentimes they were still left in agreements with these colonizing nations that still left them kind of destitute or not reaping the full benefits of the natural resources and things of those nations that could help grow these nations. So now we see this leader who said, well, we're going to get back to that and we're going to make ourselves independent of these nations and we're going to build on our own. And oftentimes when we see this is not, uh, I'll just say, it's not well received by many of those nations who were on the side of colonization or imperialism, right? Uh, so we see one side that tries to present this leader in one way, but I said all that to say this: what we've seen recently has never been seen before, right? We see now that people within the nation of Burkina Faso are marching and rallying for the leadership of Ibrahim Traore. We saw that even in France, people took to the streets, right, to rally against the recent coup attempt and rally in support. And also, even here in the United States, we've seen groups rally to support um, the nation of Burkina Faso and rally against the coup attempt. So I said that to say, especially now in the age of social media, technological age, right? More people are getting these messages to where some of these stories may have been suppressed or we may have only seen certain views or pro Western view, let me say, for lack of better terms, or what have you. But now everyone has access to information and it's spread. And now we see the rising of support, or we can get a more rounded or more objective view, or we can get both sides, right, of that and see and fully, educate ourselves on what's going on and make our assessments, you know. And that being said, um, with everything that's going on in our world, with the situation with Ukraine and Russia, with the situation that's going on uh, in the Gaza Strip, Palestine, and the West Bank, right? The senses are heightened to international affairs. So now these things are front and center to where they may have been kind of muffled a little bit beforehand or or not as easily accessible. But now, with the height of these things, people are paying attention to what's going on around the world. And I would just say this, um, in that, when the people come together, centered around justice, uh, you can, or justice and righteousness. Let me put those together. That's the pastoral hat, right? Um, you make the voices louder and stronger. And I think now, in this heightened sensitivity to these things, people um, are becoming aware and taking a stand and raising their voices against injustice, imperialism, right? Because I boil it down to this. I don't want to get too political on this, but I boil it down to this. It's troublesome when we deal in the affairs of other nations, unless we hold true to the understanding of that A in Maine, the alliance, right? Where it's mutual, where it's equitable, where both benefit and grow from it. If we're not holding true to that and we only seek to gain advantage and leave one side disadvantaged, that's injustice. That's unrighteousness, right? Because what we should be doing is coming together to benefit humanity, not the interests of a few. Okay. So I'm gonna leave that there because Brother D Mac has been patient in the waiting room. Um, but I will say that it's support, uh, it's good to see that nations are taking back their autonomy, right? And they should be allowed to build on their own. Um, there should be no interference for the West unless, once again, we're mutually agreeing to work with anybody. If not, if you're not for that and helping that nation continue to build and grow, stay out of their affairs. Leave Brother Traore alone and the other nations, right? Mali, Niger, because there are things going on there, right? Where they're trying to get their sovereignty back and independent, true independence, right? Not on paper, but true independence. So allow these nations to become self-sufficient. The West, other, we should not be interfering with that. That's just my opinion, right? But on that note, let's move and transition. I don't want to get too deep. Y'all might be calling in like, what's going on with this dude? Why is he getting so? But anyway, so let me bring in my brother. Is that who? What's going on, Coach? You muted, brother. You muted. I can't hear you.
Said I'm all good, man. How about yourself? Can you hear me now?
Good, man. I'm good. So I'm good. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just
Trying
fine.
to pump the volume up a little bit. All right, all right, all right. Well, I know you got a busy day ahead of you, man. So we're gonna jump right in it. But
Oh,
but like I said, the new resource center is to highlight people that are on the move and doing things uh in their community and making a difference. And right now we got my brother, never be another, brother D Mac MacDonald, the founder of I Am Dope uh, nonprofit, as well as the Bull City Bruins Basketball Club. I ain't got the claps loaded up, D, but how you feeling this morning?
good, man. Good. Like you said, we got a long day ahead of us. So we're gonna try and go and win a tournament. And if we don't, we'll get back to the drawing board and figure out how to do it the next time.
I hear you. And I'm gonna be putting your handles up on everything, but you can go visit them at bullcitybruins.org. Is that correct, Brother Mac?
It is.
All right, go check them out. They're doing a lot of things. But let's go back to the beginning. What inspired I Am Dope in the Bull City Bruins?
So long story short, our childhood, basically. So as growing up, I found, some newfound revelations in understanding different subcultures within my own culture, so to speak, and noticing that there weren't very many differences across the board. And it opened me to different experiences with other people from different sides of the tracks. I mean, of course, my history. I'm born, raised Greensboro, North Carolina, grew up most of my life, Phillips Avenue area, Northeast Greensboro. So we grew up with few resources, and what we wanted to do was supply resources to those that had the skill set, but not the resources to expand them. So, that's what we wanted to do, and that's what we've been doing.
No doubt. So tell us a little bit about, before we get in that, tell us a little bit about, because we're gonna separate them. I Am Dope, and then the Bull City Bruins arm. Like, I know Bull City Bruins
Right.
is more for the sports, athletics, the
Right.
training, skill development, but I Am Dope has another piece that makes this entire program very different from what we usually see out of basketball clubs and AAU programs. So break down those elements individually.
So when I was coaching for one of the local schools here, I had a group of kids who either didn't get a lot of playing time on my team or did not make my team, and they made my team as team managers. So that summer, COVID hit us, unfortunately, that year. But what I did was I expanded an opportunity for them to say, hey, look, let's join this team. It'll just be for you. And the focus is development. So with that, we kind of came up with the idea of mentoring, because there's one side of it, which is sports development, but there's another side of it, which is personal development. And developing kids off the court is more important than developing them on. So I had a very select group of kids that I wanted to personally expose to some different things. And we know different people across different walks of life, and I wanted to expose them to them, because it's more than basketball. When kids are playing for school or their school basketball, a lot of them do get caught up in the idea of getting a scholarship. And as you and I both know, there's a large funnel that starts in high school and middle school, and it shrinks as you get to your senior year and then college, and then, of course, other levels. So what we wanted to do was show that even if you love basketball, you could find a career in it and not be a player. So we decided that I Am Dope, which, of course, and I'll go ahead and give the credit to you. You frame the acronym, which DOPE stands for Developing Ownership of Personal Empowerment. And that whole goal was to help kids find what they're passionate about, so that they can find a pathway towards a career in their passion, and not just trying to find a job or trying to be a basketball player. So with that, we developed the Bull City Bruins a year later to fall underneath it, because we have our philosophy of development in basketball also, which is 3 levels of it. It's the mental, it's the physicality, and then there's the skill level. So we do the same thing with I Am Dope, which is the social element of it. Then there's, of course, the mental health element of it, and then, of course, there's the physical element of it. So we try to have them. We put kids in position to kind of work through it on all different levels and show that there's a correlation between the three so that none of those elements are ignored and they can build on it. And that the whole goal is about building self-confidence so that you can move forward towards whatever it is that you want to do. And it doesn't matter what that is. So we try to alleviate the anxiety. It's difficult, but alleviating the anxiety is the
Yeah. And what is dope, pun intended, is that Brother D offers workshops
oh yeah.
throughout the years and development from everything to financial literacy to what we say leadership development to even I guess how would we say the professional like exposing them to professionals or I'm sorry different professions and vocations, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you do that,
right?
Yeah.
So from that we've developed so we have our Empower You Academy, which does a series of workshops. So the workshops are from anything from financial literacy, which we do a multitude series on that, communication, multiple series on that. Then there's and communication will include like dress etiquette, dining etiquette, social media etiquette, conflict resolution. What's the other one? Interpersonal and intrapersonal communication, understanding that difference between what is it? Oh man, what's the other one? And then we do other ones such as like personal branding, the importance of that, and then we do them on mental health and how to handle certain situations in school and so on and so forth. So we try to cover the gambit of what the schools don't have the capacity to cover. And this and a lot of people say it's ignored, and you've been in the school systems. I don't think it's being ignored. I don't think they have the capacity to do it. And with that, it takes many other organizations putting together. And there are other organizations that do some things similar, not quite exactly the same, but there are other organizations that do good work that is similar. And there's one big goal that we have. It is to influence other organizations to do the same, not for us to be better than anybody else.
No doubt. No doubt. So give me a little idea or let everybody know idea of how many or teens or youth you're working with. I kind of gave away and giving you the shout out this morning. You've also expanded to add a girls team, but talk to me about that and how has that journey been with growing it, and also in that too, touch on the partnerships and things that have developed from this. And
So
was that to your expectation or beyond your expectation?
so part of the one partnership that we have is with Durham Parks and Rec that we're in the middle of negotiations on, which they have adopted our program. So our program is offered to over 1,000 kids here between Durham, Chapel Hill area, right? We stream our events, so we reach more than that. But right now, through Durham Parks and Rec, we have over 3,000 kids that we offer the program to. With that being said, within our basketball organization alone, I think we're somewhere between 45 and 50. So we've added some teams, girls team included, and then we have 4 boys teams, a 16U, a 15U, a 17U, and a 13U. So we cover all age groups up to 7th grade, with the exception of the 14U and anything elementary age. So we've got a good group of kids. We've got a great group of parents, and we've made the expectations have been set with everybody. So everybody that's been here has kind of loved what we do. So we're glad to have everybody that we have, but we're also more than happy with Durham, the city of Durham, recognizing what our program does and wanting to offer it to the rest of their community of kids.
No doubt.
And
No
that
doubt.
and that's the and we also have the young male and female initiatives. So we have the I Am Him and the I Am Her initiatives, which focus on young males and gives them a platform to be comfortable, as well as young women and a platform for them to be comfortable.
Okay. Okay. See, big things, and see that's some numbers that I didn't even realize. You know, with the reach with Durham Parks and Rec, the city of Durham just reaching those 3,000, and that's very vital because, you know, I think we should be using these platforms and these mediums um, to not just win on the court, but to win off the court and in life. A lot of times we see, and we've talked about this, you know, me being a former coach and you coaching, you know, you see a lot of teams pop up, but the goal is to just try to scramble and get the most talent and try to win quick and tire names to kids. But, you know, I look at this right here and it's like when you understand the percentages of kids that go on to play in college sports, then those that make it professionally, right? Many of those are playing the game of life.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is prepping them for the game of life because it's going to be more important,
Yeah.
right? Those kids
Absolutely.
be prepared to give back to their communities
Yeah.
and make a difference in their cities. Because, and you've often said this, like, and I've heard you say this, which makes me proud, man, because I know where you come from, man. I remember you in that sixth grade classroom. But you know, you also point out and emphasize there are more ways to be successful in the realm of athletics.
Right.
You brought on the personal trainers, right? You show them with coaching and skill development, right? Or not personal, but athletic trainers, right?
Yeah.
With them getting that savvy and literacy and marketing and self branding, man, they could learn, you know, management, right? Organization, how to run a team, a program. Because let's be honest, man, the GMs and the vice presidents of these organizations, they make good money too and are very
Yeah.
successful, right? And are still a part of the game and connected to it, man.
I,
You know what I'm
I've I've
saying?
never I've never seen any clips of Jeff Van Gundy with a basketball. I've never seen any clips of and these are like great NBA basketball minds. Like I've never
Yeah,
seen what's the coach down in Miami, Eric Spoelstra,
yeah,
dunking
yeah,
basketball anywhere. Like
yeah.
it's about the level of work that you put into something. And one of the things that if I pride myself on with anything with this with what we do, both on and off the court, it is we expose kids to the farce that there's a shortcut. It ain't one.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
educate them on that you have to do the work, and that's pretty much where it ends with you. And
Mhm.
most of my success stories don't have anything to do with basketball. They may have touched basketball, and I'm talking about with some of the kids that we work with. We may have met and connected through basketball, but what they were able to accomplish had nothing to do with it. Largely, it was about them not giving up on it and continuing to fight the good fight. And I like one of the kids that made my team, well, that did not make my team initially, stuck with the program, continued to develop, and he was all conference 2 years in a row recently. It's not where he
Mm-hmm.
started, but it's where he is. And he's told me himself he's grateful for the experience. And the experience is what's the most important and what you learn from it. And one of the things I had to explain to the kids the other day was, hey, look, I have certain things that you can see that I can do, but I was never all conference. I didn't play varsity, even though I made the team. I didn't play varsity my last 2 years of high school. I'm not the one in the high school hall of fame. That is my wife. I'm surrounded by college players. I'm surrounded by guys who touch the NBA. I'm surrounded by guys who coach and know well. And I know what I know because I've had the advantage and opportunity to be exposed to them. So it's good to be exposed to people, even if you're not the star, because you can learn just from being in the room. And to me, that is a very important element that kids should always keep in mind so that they're not getting down on themselves and losing confidence because they're not the star. It might not be your thing. You might need to be the coach. You might need to. I think Eric Spoelstra was the videotape operator.
Yeah.
So it's
Coordinator.
not you don't have to be the guy to learn. And I tell people all the time, as a coach, you have no idea how many teams I've stomped that had a coach that played high level basketball. It doesn't mean he understands how to coach it as well as he may have been able to play it. And because of that, the two things don't necessarily match. Great players don't make great coaches. And I think you know that. But also,
yes,
great coaches may not have been great players. Again, Jeff Van Gundy, Eric Spoelstra, both in the NBA, both absolutely great basketball minds. And as much as people hate Draymond Green, he's probably going to be one of the best coaches we ever seen. Coach the game of basketball because he's a great basketball mind. But also, and I have to give the brother credit, Stephen A. Smith is another great basketball mind. He played for Big House Games up in Winston-Salem State. He went there. His path to the NBA has been unconventional at least, but he can still get there. And we have the Lewis Thompsons of the world who's come in and spoke. In the NBA, not a player. We have other people. Our good brother Kevin Graves in the NBA, he's not a player. There's more than one way to get there if that's what it is that you love. And we have more people coming in to speak with the kids of how you can get from point A to point B and basically getting rid of the false nomer that there's a shortcut way of doing it. And if we pride ourselves on anything, it's that one thing. But we've got to. I'm on a touch and go schedule this morning because I've got to get to this basketball game, and I know how close it is. So
okay,
but thank y'all for having me.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you bounce, man. But one last thing: is there any other information that we should know about the program or anything big coming up that we should know about?
So we have some workshops that are coming up in May, June, July. Probably the best way to get that information because they're on TBD dates right now. So the best way to keep up with that information is just to go to iamdopenc.org and not only keep up with
iamdopenc.org. iamdopenc.org. Make sure you say that again so they can get it.
Yeah, iamdopenc.org, and then you just not only can you see the upcoming workshops, but you can see the ones that have already been done. And we've got some good people coming in to do some financial literacy series. And we've worked with Wall Street Juniors in the past who's done a great job. So they'll be doing a few with us as well. But we've got a good cast of subject matter experts that you'd want your kids, whether you're affiliated with our basketball program or not, that you want your kids to see, because and I tell everybody this before I go, the key to a successful livelihood is financial literacy. It's really not about how much money you make. It's about how you take care of your money.
No doubt.
And that's something I had to have the hard lesson to learn as an adult. I'd rather them learn it as children. So they not in their late 20s, early 30s trying to figure out.
Figure it out.
Yeah, that's the wrong time.
So yeah, I'm gonna get you out of here, but this one last question, but this might be more of a shot, man. When we gonna do another Names Is Not Important with Mac and Free show?
We could do one tomorrow. We could
put them on the spot, y'all.
Yeah, we could do one. Look, I'm not on the spot. I've been saying it. We could do one tomorrow. You just let me know.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right here. He said tomorrow. Now, if we not filming nothing, now I got some stuff going on tomorrow, so it's got to be late evening. So, I appreciate you, Mac. You can also, like I just hit on, we do a podcast. It's also on YouTube called Names Are Not Important with Mac and Free, where we usually get into social commentary, sports, everything. We're a little more animated than we are here. Here we just things that we do it in the community and stuff. But man, I appreciate you, man. Good luck today, man. Keep me updated.
Thank you.
No doubt. So as we get ready to close out, we got a little over 10 minutes. I just want to once again remind everybody to follow D and his program. You can go to bullcitybruins.org, or you can go to IamDopeNC.org. You can follow them on Facebook, Instagram under Bull City Bruins. I Am Dope NC. But truly grateful for the work that brother is doing, and it's still growing. And one thing that's beautiful is the fact that immediately when he started this program, the city of Durham began to see the value in it and just started to connect with him and do some more things. And that's one thing we want to highlight on the Resource Center, just starting something. Sometimes we don't really know how valuable it will be. We're in the midst of it. We don't have time to stop and really smell the roses, but something that started with a small group, and he was hoping to just develop some young men that he had coached and worked with. And then with some of the stuff we were doing collectively, just with mentoring and trying to do stuff. I mean, now he's got 45 kids within his program, but now he's partnered where he's reaching 3,000 kids. And that's just a gift. That's a blessing. And I know it's beyond in our expectations, right? But it's going to keep growing and keep doing its thing. So shout out to D. So before I get into what you're reading, I just want to send this reminder. Make sure you like, you share, subscribe, comment. We don't have any comments, but I want to thank those who are joining, who are watching this morning. It's a beautiful morning. We'll try to do an evening recap this evening, so just stay tuned. If you're free this evening, look out for that. We're going to jump on. So let me do this because I like using my toys. Here we go. All right. So as I mentioned, well, let me get to this before I get into what are you reading. Just want to update folks on some things that's going on this weekend. Some that I might be a part of. Got a lot going on today. If you're in the Greensboro area, today at 2 p.m., there will be the annual benefit for the Deep Roots Market Co-op, beginning at 2 p.m. I think till about 5 p.m. There'll be some music, there'll be some vendors, right? And it's the annual fundraiser I will actually be there for the owners meeting because I'm actually up for election to the board of directors for the co-op. So there'll be a owners meeting, and then I have to introduce myself, and then following that at 2 will be the benefit concert. So if you're in the area downtown Greensboro, come on by, share, donate, help support the Deep Roots Market Co-op. Also tomorrow, Sunday at 2 o'clock, as I kind of mentioned on the Wednesday Wisdom, Thursday, May 1st was International Workers' Day, which is kind of like the original Labor Day, but it's more celebrated internationally than here. We have our Labor Day in September now, but at the time of May Day, right, there was still this ongoing fight between workers' rights, right, and the industries here in the U.S. So it wasn't as popularized as it was internationally, but it's International Workers' Day, and there's been a lot of events, rallies, and marches. And tomorrow, May 4th, in Greensboro, beginning at 2 o'clock, there's going to be a march downtown. I believe they're going to meet at the courthouse, march down Elm Street and back. So I'll be participating in that, but there'll be a rally and march beginning at 2 p.m. Tomorrow, May 4th, gathering at the Guilford County Courthouse. So if you want to support and rally, come on out 2 p.m. Sunday to the Guilford County Courthouse. So that being said, we got about 7 minutes. So I like to, toward the end of the show, highlight a book. Now I do a book a month because I get so scattered. I need that time, that leeway to to read it so I can share it with everybody. But this month's book that we're gonna read, and I'll bring updates on everything as we in the upcoming weeks, but I don't know if that's showing big enough. But the book this month is Everybody Eats, right? Communication and the Path to Food Justice by Marianne LaGreco and Dr. Naisha Douglas. And as I mentioned before, when we had relaunched the 2.0 version of Live from the Resource Center, Dr. Naisha Douglas was one of our host team members, and she co-authored this book, Everybody Eats, which actually, and Dr. Marianne LaGreco, I believe, I don't know if she's still there, but was at UNCG at the time. But this book actually takes a look at the issue of food scarcity and quality food facility, what we know as food deserts, right, in Greensboro, North Carolina. So it is taking a look at a local issue to where at one point Greensboro was number one on the FRAC list, I believe, of food deserts. And it looks at several groups and organizations that formed to address this issue, and eventually changed, I want to say, by 8% at one point, to where Greensboro went from number one to, I think, number 14. But I'm going to dive into it. I've been telling Naisha I'm going to read it forever. But I said, this is great motivation to jump right into it. But on another note, Dr. Douglas came out last night. We were able to talk, and on our Wednesday Wisdom, she's going to come on so we can talk a little bit about this book. So I got to do a heavy load of reading in the next couple of days so I can have some quality questions. But nevertheless, each Saturday we'll talk about some aspects of the book and kind of lead us in that thought. So if you're passionate about food justice, you know, please check out this book. Get it Amazon, I think Barnes and Noble. It's called Everybody Eats: Communication and the Paths to Food Justice, because that is still uh, an area that needs tremendous focus. And a lot of times, let me say this and make this clarifying point, because um, I've had the opportunity to go to trainings on this within the church, as well as when I was in the school system. And let's first and foremost, when we talk about food deserts, it's not always just talking about, oh, people don't have no food. Now, there is that element, right? But more importantly, it's speaking to individuals and communities having access to quality foods. Oftentimes, um, people are unable to access better quality foods or higher quality foods, as it may be in some more fluent areas, right? Or they have difficulties getting to areas to access better foods, whether it be because the lack of grocers in their area, or maybe they're in a rural area that is far from fresh produce or what have you, um, or just not as much selection where they are. So this is a huge problem across our nation, because um, the better foods you're able to access, the better health, um, the better wellness, right? Because that's one of those, right? Self-preservation needs, right? Food, right? And we want to make sure that our young people and well, everybody, let me just say it, that are able to benefit from having quality foods and choices, quality foods, because often many are left without choice, right? So please check that out. Once again, it's Everybody Eats: Communication in the Path to Food Justice, Dr. Marianne LaGreco and Dr. Naisha Douglas. And we'll have Dr. Douglas on Wednesday. So with that, that's my time. Whatever you're doing out there, do it well. Be blessed. And just know that, hey, we love you here at the Resource Center. I thank those who joined in. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share. And just look for us to come back later on this evening with a wrap up of the wonderful event we had last night, the First Friday, as well as look for us on Wednesday with the Wednesday Wisdom, where we'll be joined by Dr. Naisha Douglas to speak about her book. So with that being said, be blessed and just know that you are the resource, the greatest resource, and everything is within you. So trust, believe, and chase that dream. And we'll see you later on this evening.